A few weeks ago, I stood in this exact spot on a similarly sunny morning outside of Feltham Station, where I took a walk along the Shepperton branch line. I'm not starting a walk here today though, but I am taking one today along the Windsor Line, so come and join me. And I start the walk at Wraysbury station, where immediately I've got a nice rural trail to take. Now there are a lot of lakes and reservoirs in these parts, or in this case a little river known as the Colne Brook, which we will encounter later on as well. I think this is very much one of those situations where I stop to get a shot of the water and I carry on along the path one more minute and it becomes even more impressive. That definitely could be a running theme on today's walk. The planes coming down at Heathrow. I've got a beautiful meadow to cross at this stage. I just saw a rabbit hop across the path, which is quite fitting. Oh, hang on. Oh, I don't know if I caught it. There was one just there, which is quite fitting considering the Easter weekend has just passed. Here we are. This is a nice shot of the lakes. But you know what will happen? I'll go up there on the path and there'll be a much clearer shot in a minute. Yeah, I was right. This is definitely a clearer area. Speaking of clear, the water is as well. Looks great. We're coming up to the end of the lakes. I can hear the road just around that corner on the path. But I've just come across this. I don't know where this leads, but I really want to take it. Oh, got a fly on my hand. The water is quite deep, to be honest. I love hearing the waves lapping up against the shore. Is this just a little island? Private fishing. Okay, doesn't say anything about I have to keep off it. Man, this is such a narrow strip of land. It's very hilly too. This doesn't appear on my map, this little bit of land. I wonder if... well, it won't be low or high tide. It's not like it completely washes away. Oh, I think we're coming up to the end of it. Yeah, it just goes into the water. This is a great spot though. I'm glad I took this path just for the sake of it. It's like a real adventure. So now that I'm away from the lakes, my next destination is Ankerwycke, which is a National Trust site. I think I'm saying that correctly. I feel like it's been a while since I've come across a National Trust sign, but then again I've not really done rural walks out of London for a while. On this site lies the Ankerwycke yew, which is regarded as being one of the oldest trees in the country. Among the 50 oldest trees, I believe. There's suggestions and estimates that it's over 2,000 years old, but that could be disputed. I mean, I presume it's that tree in front of me. I guess it's not immediately obvious because of all the nearby trees, but I am in front of the sign, so you would hope it's that one, right? I love this little folklore story. King Henry VIII secretly met his mistress and second wife Anne Boleyn underneath this tree, which I feel is a bit of a ironic location, I guess because it was close enough to Windsor, right? But there was a priory nearby that had been disillusioned by none other than King Henry VIII himself. Now, brilliantly, there are actually some remains of the priory here. Not a whole lot, but a decent chunk, despite the fact that King Henry VIII's reign is, what, close to 500 years ago now? So at this point, I am beside the River Thames, and I was hoping to come across some sunny meadow like there is on that side, and like when I came across the River Thames in Shepperton on the walk I did previously, but unfortunately that's not really the case. Now the River Thames at this stage is separating me from a place called Runnymede, which is where the Magna Carta was signed in 1215 and is a brilliant location. I've visited it once before on a walk along the River Thames from Datchet to Staines, and I absolutely would love to return there one day for another explore. Ah, I've randomly stumbled across a very old bus. I didn't even know this footpath existed. I was just going to walk through the private estate, but then I spotted this and thought, I'll take this instead. It's a good thing I did. Would have missed this. So I'm essentially now looping back around towards Wraysbury, and there's this very helpful map here to showcase the lakes I passed earlier and the lakes I'll be passing alongside now. There's that tiny little island that I went out to, by the way. This also means that I'm beside the Colne Brook again, which I can assume is making its confluence with the River Thames nearby, and from here it will flow up, or it's flowing from, more like, Uxbridge, where it meets a variety of rivers. It's quite confusing over there because you've got the River Colne itself, but you also got the Frays River and the Grand Union Canal. There's a lot of watercourses in West London. So the Colne Brook has brought me up to the railway line. I just got to cross over this stile and then the railway tracks themselves. And I wonder at this stage whether I'll be able to see Wraysbury station. Yes, I can. Just about up there. Okay, we are safe to cross. There's no train due yet. I think at this stage the railway is actually acting as a border between Berkshire and Surrey. I think the River Thames was doing that as well, but today predominantly, I think almost exclusively, I am actually in Berkshire. There has to be a reservoir up there, surely. This might be our last shot of the Colne Brook today, as it's passing underneath the railway line. So I'm back at Wraysbury station, which feels quite odd. I've done just over 4 miles of walking, I think. This is quite bizarre. Half of the platform is on the other side of this bridge, which, I mean, that is so narrow you technically can't really walk along that, and you're always meant to stand behind the yellow line. So yeah, not the greatest station in the world. That has been a very long road up from Wraysbury station. I want to say it's taken about a mile, but I've not minded it because it's been quite fun seeing the constant flow of planes passing overhead that are about to arrive at Heathrow. That road has brought me up though to the Arthur Jacob Nature Reserve and Poyle Poplars Woodland. That's quite a mouthful. So I take it back. I have seen the Colne Brook one last time on this walk, as it is passing through the nature reserve here. There's really only one exit and entrance, so I'm essentially just doing a loop around in here, which is alright. There's another plane coming, of course there is. So this area was once gravel pits. It was quite industrial, and with a name like Arthur Jacobs Nature Reserve, it made me curious who that actually is. And it's a member of the local ward who helped essentially open this as a nature reserve in 1996. And there's another plane coming overhead. So I've taken a nice walk through the woods from the nature reserve. I'm out by the Golden Cross pub, and I did consider walking down there to go and see the westernmost point of Greater London. But I don't think it's really worth it because it's just going to be a very grotty junction with the M25. So no thank you. Now my alternative path isn't any better because I'm just passing through a grotty industrial estate. Although I did just get the nice smell of bread. Oh yeah, there's a bakery over there. And there's planes passing overhead again. See, with the weather improving and it being a nice sunny day, some people might head to the beach or something like that. No, not me. I've chosen to come here. But at least the nature reserve and the lakes earlier were nice. I have managed to find, tucked right at the back of the industrial estate, a little footpath which will lead me onto a disused railway line. So at least that's something interesting around here. I've managed to find a great little bridge on the disused railway, which is passing over a little stream which I think connects the Colne Brook with the Wraysbury River, which interestingly I don't think we actually get to see today, despite the fact we're in the area of Wraysbury. So yeah, I would like to think that this is a nice quiet spot to do a piece to camera as I talk about the history of this line. But I'm just going to get interrupted by planes flying overhead. Right, let's see if I can do this quickly. So this railway opened as a branch off of the Great Western Main Line in 1885 from West Drayton to Staines. To Staines West, a completely separate station to the one which exists today, as they were not allowed to share the same station due to competition between the railway companies. Now the section south of here towards Staines is very interesting as it crosses over Staines Moor, but then the M25 gets in the way and this section has not nearly enough stuff remaining. There would have been a station called Poyle, which opened in 1927 at the site of what is today the westernmost point in Greater London. There would have been a station slightly further up called Poyle Estate Holt, purely built for the industrial estate that opened in 1954. I didn't beat the plane in time. There is absolutely nothing left to see of that station today, but I'll have to return to Staines Moor another time because that is rather interesting. A really nice place to take a walk across. The entire line closed in 1965 as part of the beaching cuts, and then in 1981, when they were building the M25, basically all of the track bed got ripped up. So I don't think this railway will ever really be reinstated now. But there is something remaining that is interesting to see just up ahead. Now it's where the railway line crosses the course of the old Bath Road where you find a remaining level crossing sign, which is just great. This is right beside the site of Colnbrook station, where the station house does remain, and there would have been a Colnbrook estate halt station similar to Poyle's further up the line, which opened later as well, but you can't exactly get to that one anymore because the line from here is still in use as a freight line, and you will see freight trains regularly passing by West Drayton station. But this is cool. There's an old water pump here. I don't think I've seen this before when I've passed through. It was about 5 years ago last time I was at Colnbrook, to be fair. I don't know why I was so quick to dismiss the Colnbrook area at Wraysbury station. I'm literally passing through a place called Colnbrook. Of course it's flowing through, just the area is spelt without an E for some reason. Now the old Colnbrook station does seem to be better suited for Poyle. Colnbrook itself is quite the walk away. And I do know that Poyle was originally in Middlesex. He had transferred to Surrey and then became part of Berkshire in 1995. So I presume, considering this says Surrey County Council, that Colnbrook was the same. Now we might not have actually bothered to go and visit the westernmost point in Greater London, but I can at least see London's westernmost bus route, the 81, which goes all the way out to Slough. Now imagine if this was still the Bath Road today. It would be an awful bottleneck. That's why they built the bypass. It's a beautiful village to pass through on the bus though. I did really enjoy the 81. And this was a really good rest stop along the Bath Road. So you'll find a lot of old inns such as Ye Old George, where it is said that Queen Elizabeth I once rested here. Now, if I didn't need to tick off Wraysbury station or the one I'm ending at Sunnymeads, I probably would have started today's walk at Colnbrook and did some sort of loop walk via Wraysbury instead, and then just used the 81 bus because it might have worked out cheaper. But if I get to tick off 2 stations by doing it differently, then it's worth it. I did think this path away from Colnbrook would be a lot nicer than it was, perhaps across some fields, but no, I've just got this grim fence beside me the whole time. Oh well. I've got an obstacle on the path. Some fallen down trees. What is this? This is annoying. Even if this fence wasn't here, I wouldn't really get some beautiful field views because, well, it's all just a quarry. They're doing some construction. Oh, hello plane. Nice of you to join us. And that path has led me down into Horton, which feels like I've completed the trifecta of villages near Heathrow Airport with Poyle, Colnbrook and Horton. Well, one's outside of London, because there are ones closer to the airport at Longford and Harmondsworth, for example. And you know we're now making it back towards the railway line through Wraysbury, and I've got some more lakes to pass, which is glorious. This is a great little bookend to this walk. Wow, look at the mounds over there, from presumably another quarry. Well, here's our second foot crossing over the railway today. I think yet again I can see Wraysbury station all the way down there. I'm not going to wait for a train because I think the next one's in about 15 minutes. And after all that, I'm finally actually visiting Wraysbury, which immediately I'm kind of getting mixed receptions with, because there's some very old buildings which are not very nice. We're definitely not in London, but I like the touch of using the roundel. But then this is quite nice over here, so yeah, it's kind of pros and cons so far. Well, I say it's nice, but it's rather muddy. I wouldn't want to go in it, but I just kind of like the wetland feel it has. But I guess the jewel in the crown, and this has come as a complete surprise because I didn't know this was here, there's a windmill here in Wraysbury. How wonderful. Is this the first windmill I've seen since Amsterdam? I think it is. And over a mile later, all the way along the road from Wraysbury, I've made it to Sunnymeads station, which is the least used in Berkshire, which I'm not altogether surprised by, considering it is literally tucked right at the very edge of the suburbs of Wraysbury. Most people just use that one instead. Now, I was going to say that this station reminds me of ones on the Thameslink Sutton loop, but actually it's specifically West Sutton that it reminds me of because of the bridge over one of the tracks. All the other stations on that line, you just have the set of stairs up to the road right at the end of the island platform. Yeah, this is a very bizarre station. It has a missing sign here, it seems, and they don't even seem to expect that many people to use it because there is only the one bench on the entire platform. So 27,000 people used this station last year, which is still a fair amount, far more than some other counties' least used stations. There's even a little river flowing underneath the platform right into the Thames, which is literally just through there. So it's sunny at Sunnymeads. We love to see it. This is one of the most barren stations I've ever come across though. And that does complete the Windsor Line for me. So similar to the Shepperton branch, once again, how I only needed 2 stations on that line to complete it a few weeks ago. It was a similar situation here, but I should just give you the quick story of when I've travelled on this line before, because I did mention earlier that back in 2020 I took a walk along the River Thames from Datchet, which is the next stop up the line back to Staines, but I did use Datchet once before during my first visit to Windsor in 2018. I took GWR's branch into Windsor, into their Windsor and Eaton Central station, and then took the long walk down from the Windsor Castle, much further than I thought. So I was going to loop all the way back around into Windsor, but I thought no, let me actually get the SWR service one stop from Datchet into their Windsor and Eaton Riverside station. And what I thought I'd do now is actually head to the end of the line at Windsor, because I don't have a station sign photo. But then that got me thinking that perhaps I should travel home via GWR from their central station, because it's a very similar price. It kind of works out slightly cheaper for me as well. And bizarrely, for the first time ever that I've noticed, travelling with contactless is cheaper than with a paper ticket. Because with a paper ticket I get my railcard discount, but a contactless journey from Windsor and Eaton Central to West Drayton, where I would then touch out and then touch back in Oyster, because again it just works cheaper to do it that way, would be £3.30. A ticket with railcard discount, £4.55. And then just to kind of confirm that it is usually cheaper to get a ticket, from Feltham to Wraysbury this morning, contactless would have been about £3.60. My paper ticket with railcard discount, £2.35. What's happening there then? Well, I've made it to Windsor and Eaton Riverside Station. I've managed to get my photo. I don't remember there being ticket barriers last time I was here. Either they were open or they've been installed in the last 8 years. Now obviously I'm not going to come here and not get a shot of Windsor Castle, which is really cool. I remember this street so well because it's usually just packed. No one's here right now this evening. This has given me strong vibes of Edinburgh, which is strange because I've been here a couple of times before I've even gone to Edinburgh for the first time. But I guess the last time I was here was quite a few years ago now. It does feel that I'm perhaps rather unfairly glossing over Windsor, because we've instead focused on places people don't usually go, such as Wraysbury and Sunnymeads, but we will absolutely come back one day for a more dedicated explore of Windsor and Eaton as well. I've not actually been there before. I will quickly focus on one thing though, just because I like this story in Windsor. This building was designed by Sir Christopher Wren, the same architect who designed St Paul's Cathedral, and his design was criticised for not being stable enough. The pillars on the outside were said to not be enough, so he was forced to implement some more in the middle. But if you look at the top, you'll see that they don't actually connect. I can't help but feel that this would probably look nicer if it was more cleared out in the middle. Also, look at this crooked house, by the way. Looks amazing. Oh, we definitely have to come back to Windsor. Right, let's head into Windsor and Eaton Central Station now, which, although it has a rather grand entrance, there's only one platform remaining, as most of it is now a shopping centre. There used to be 4 platforms. I like that there's still old railway benches dotted around in here though. Wow, the one remaining platform is just tucked over right on the very edge. It's a rather pokey little station now. It's not as grand as Windsor and Eaton Riverside. Great to see that there's a train here though. This actually dates from an exhibition which was once situated here back in the 80s, and then once that was complete it was too expensive to remove this, so they just kept it there. I like that. I remember there being a permitted travel machine here the first time I visited, with a Network South East sign on. Now there's just ticket machines and the contactless pad. I'm going to have to remember to touch in so I don't have a paper ticket. Even in Windsor, I can't escape the planes. They're still going overhead. Now this station actually opened 2 months earlier than the Riverside station, both of them in 1849. First as Windsor, then became Windsor and Eaton in 1904, and then Central was added to the name in 1949. And I guess I'm going from very rich and posh Windsor and Eaton to Slough. Well, it has to be done. It's the Class 230D stock train. Oh wait, no it isn't. There's a new model in Feltham Station of Stephenson's rocket. A very early example of a train in Britain that was put here quite recently.